Ridiculously Happy Pplcast. I'm Sophia Lemon, and today I have Nikki Yo from the Ava Solution with me. How are you, Nikki?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well.
Awesome.
Is there anything new with you besides recording for several hours today?
Yeah, we very good friends of ours, my husband's bestie actually, are having their first baby in the fall, so we're super excited for them. And so I've just been sort of lovingly putting together a gift for their upcoming baby shower, which they have decided to not find out the gender of their baby. So it's been very difficult for me because I'm a planner. So I'm trying to keep gender neutral and going with their nursery color theme that she graciously sent along to me, which is awesome. So in addition to our favorite items that we've pulled from their registry and things that we specifically loved and found useful as we were having our babies, I've just finished crocheting a blanket with a matching little newborn hat, and I'm almost through a teddy bear, which is adorable and soft and fleecy. And from there, I'm going to be making some extra large receiving blankets because the ones you buy in the store are basically big enough for a burp cloth. They're not big enough to wrap up your baby if they're a decent size, which my babies were. So
if they're a size.
If they're a size, yeah. Like they should not call them receiving blankets because they are burp cloths, essentially.
Yeah. Well, that's probably what they are.
Yeah. That's what we use them for. Yeah. Mop up stuff.
Is this a potential Godfather situation for your husband?
I don't want to jump the gun, but he, like, my husband's friend is the godfather of our children. So I would kind of, it's most likely they were best men at each other's weddings. So it's probably headed that direction.
Tell me that sometime
you can have my
in the
kids
future,
if I can have your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me that sometime in the future they're going to get together and have cigars and talk like
they'll have to.
Out of the Godfather.
They will absolutely have to.
That's amazing. So my brother and his wife are also expecting. Oh my goodness, that's cute. Do you have the teddy bear there? Because
so far my daughter keeps calling it a peanut because I've only done the head and the body so far, so it's a little like disproportionate, but it's like. And then they'll have little arms and legs and like, it's
cute.
Super soft.
That is awesome. That's so cute. Oh my goodness. My brother and his wife are also expecting, and my mother likes to know things. So at some point on the weekend when they were over, there was a question about the sex of the baby. And I was like, he's not going to tell you. Like, leave him alone. You're not going to find out until the baby is here. Probably, depending on how it goes, a couple hours after the baby is here.
Yeah, it's a busy time for mom and dad.
Give them a minute.
Exactly.
So my what's new is not as exciting-ish, but I got a new mountain bike.
Nice. That's exciting. I would say that's exciting.
It's my first real mountain bike.
That's amazing.
So Kevin and I went to the bike shop with his kids, and I was completely overwhelmed. And I'm like, here's what I'm looking for. And they didn't have anything that I was looking for in my budget. So they just gave me like $700 off a bike. I'm like, okay.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then we were picking it up the other day, and Kevin launches into, like her old bike, which I'm like, oh no, don't talk about that. It's so embarrassing. They're going to think I'm such a dork. Oh my God. But, he said it's a Peugeot. So he says that. And then the guy who's like not really involved in the conversation, who's like behind the desk over there, like doing bike stuff. I'm looking like, he's like, that's not embarrassing. I'm like, oh, cool. Kevin goes, yeah, it's like 20 years old. And the guy that we were dealing with was like, that could be worth a lot of money to the right person. And I'm like, oh,
there you go.
Perfect. Really? That's cool.
Now who's laughing? Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. No, it's pretty entertaining. But I did go on a bike ride with the new bike, and I nearly died. So going to take some getting used to because I haven't really biked seriously in a while, like on a road where there's hills and stuff. So I just went around the concession and it took a while and it was exhausting and my legs were dead.
Yeah.
But I survived. Anyway.
Awesome. Awesome.
So I was asked an interesting question the other day on one of my networking meetings. And I have not posed this question to you yet. So if you need a moment to think about it,
Okay.
you can have it. So the question was, what is a career highlight that you are proud of?
That's a good one. I think for me, the big moment, which I don't know, I guess it's a highlight so far, we'll call it, was when my income with Ava surpassed what my income was working my full-time job pre-Ava. And that was huge. Like, I remember sitting down with my husband and I was like, this thing that we thought was like going to help us like just to get over the hump and just get through the pandemic, I'm like, blew it out of the water. Like, this is crazy. I'm like, look how much I'm like, look how well I'm doing now. And being able to still have the extra stuff, like the extra time with the kids, being able to do both, having the flexible schedule. Like, my husband travels a lot for work. He's a welder. He's all over Ontario. We need to have a flexible parent. Like, that's just the fact of life. Like, he's out the door at 4:00 in the morning. He's not home until 7:00 at night. Like, this is not conducive to having small children. So that I can be that flexible parent and still exceed and like meet the expectations that we had financially, like before we had kids, is like, that's huge. So that's my career highlight. That was an exciting day.
You almost sounded like you didn't want to say that was your highlight, but that's a pretty good highlight.
Good one. Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
That's really exciting.
Yeah.
Like, not only are you at home all day with your kids, but even if you went to an office somewhere else, there's the commuting time to get there. There's the commuting time to get back. There's the childcare. There's the just being exhausted at the end of the day. So yeah, that's a really big deal for many reasons, and well done.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, well, when I was asked this question, because I was also not prepared, I started like racking my brain, and I had an answer. I had two answers, and maybe the one I will share at some point in the future. It's just cool. But one thing that I'm really proud of in my business is the number of women that I work with who, like, when they book with me, they're telling me, I am not photogenic. You have your work cut out for you. I do not photograph well. And my answer is, well, that is not accurate. But anyway, so they fully 100% believe that they are not photogenic. The camera doesn't like them. They don't look good in photos, period. And then they get their photos back and they're like, oh, hold on. I look good.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, because this is what you actually look like. You look great. And this is scary common in my line of work. People believe that they are not photogenic, as I have mentioned already several times on this podcast, probably every episode so far. People believe that they are not photogenic because at some point along the way, someone told them that they were not photogenic. And that person's a jerk. But also, previous to today, these days, modern times, this was thanks to like magazines, music videos, when like there was only a specific type of body type that was shown and believed to be sexy or beautiful or whatever. Today we have social media.
Yes.
Which is like great in so many ways. There's definitely advantages, but also causes a lot of issues for people. Self-esteem wise. Yeah. And there's multiple layers to this. So there's the layers that are, oh my goodness, the body positivity posts on social media, for example, which if you look it up are like often flooded with people who are fit and have this complex where they're like, I'm fat or I'm skinny or whatever. And then they post these photos of them with abs and they're like, body positivity. Like,
yeah, okay. I love my body. Okay. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah. But then there's also the element of, okay, so now we see these diverse images of all types of different bodies, and we're starting to believe that they're all great. But now we assume that all of these bodies, these people who are like body positivity and happy, and this is a sexy person, and that's fantastic, that person on the other side of that photo is living a perfect life, that their life is as great as can be. And you mentioned in our little preview episode the highlight reel issue of social media. And there's this other element where like I've had to meticulously block ads in my Facebook and Instagram feeds. Specifically from coaches, because apparently the internet decided that I was a coach or wanted to be a coach and started feeding me all of these ads of coaches selling like masterminds and programs and classes and stuff. And they were living this location independent life where they worked from their laptop for 4 hours a week and they lived in the Cayman Islands and like, that's
make 6 figures a year.
They make a buttload of money. And like you can too if you buy this insanely expensive package. And I mean, that's just not the reality of life. Okay. So all of these things make me laugh hysterically because people believe this. And I have like stories that we could share this episode about this. But the reason that this makes me laugh is because I am a big fan of reality TV. I watch all the Bravo stuff. Pretty much, especially Real Housewives and Below Deck. And Below Deck, you see this all the time. Because there's these wealthy people who charter this yacht and they go out on this amazing excursion experience where the food's going to be so fantastic and the sights are going to be amazing and they're going to get to do some cool stuff like swimming with dolphins and whatever they want. For some reason, eating sushi off of the deckhands' bodies. I don't know. But anyway, they often like almost once every season, they have influencers on this where like these influencers who make all of this money, they're on the show. And whenever they have, you know, digital influencers, social media influencers on the show, these people who lead the entire internet to believe that they live a perfect life and so what they say should be listened to. They spend the entire time that they are on the boat, on their phone, taking photos, posting things to social media, answering comments, answering DMs, all of this fun stuff. Rarely look up from their phone, make like eye-to-eye contact with other human beings, and they absolutely do not enjoy the experience because they're either complaining or they're on their phone. So that should, I mean, I know a lot of people watch reality TV. We know that this is the case, that these people spend all of their time on the phone, on their phones. I feel like we should really have a better grasp on the fact that what we see is not reality. They're not like leaping off the boat all day into crystal clear waters. They are leaping off the boat once, getting out, drying their hair, and like taking more photos of stupid stuff. And you know? So I'm just baffled by the fact that people believe that these things are real, but people believe that these things are real.
They do.
It's sad. What did you want to say about the social media highlight reel stuff? Because like basically what we're getting into with this episode is self-esteem and how social media can really destroy your self-esteem and maybe some ways to keep that from happening because it's just not necessary.
It's so true. I see it And I feel it a lot too with like imposter syndrome. And I think too, like running a small business, like it's very easy to compare yourself against the specially curated posts that's like, I do it all by myself and it is so easy. And look how much money I make. And look at this and look at that. And really, they've got like a 25-person staff at a minimum. And to remind myself that like, I am not an agency. I'm not at that level. That's not necessarily like my goal to get to. I do what I do very specifically and for a very specific reason. And that's an adjustment in how I view social media and like things that I've unfollowed and muted so that don't come up on my page with the algorithm and not engaging in things and all that good stuff. And I see it as a parent too, like, I struggle with with parent accounts because one, I have this like view of, okay, you're posting your kids having tantrums and how you're handling it, but like it feels very exploitative. Of these small little children and their big feeling. Like kids have big feelings. You see that with your work all the time.
For sure.
And to just get in their face and that kind of thing. And what works for one kid doesn't work for every kid. Like I see that with my nieces and nephews. I see that with my own kids. I see that with my siblings. Like what works for one of us is not the same. You can't apply that logic to another person necessarily. So to have it shoved in your face that because I'm a mom, because I'm looking at these other accounts and whatever, and I'm obviously engaging with them and laughing or not laughing or moving on, whatever, it's what pops up on my feed a lot. And oh, well, their kids are perfectly behaved and this is how they handle that. And they're great and they do this perfect. And it's like definitely those moments of self-doubt, like what I'm doing is wrong and I'm traumatizing my kids for forever and ever, and they're gonna hate me when they grow up and all this kind of stuff. And everyone's entitled to their opinion. You can think whatever you want to think, but it's very important for me to remember that, like you said, these are highlight reel things. These are people that, whether they're business owners or their parents or their whichever, they are showcasing a very specific, very curated, often aspect of their life and of what they're trying to prove or put forth, like the image that they want to portray. And that is not the behind the scenes. Like when you see a perfectly organized house, for example, or a perfectly organized pantry, you're not seeing that half the stuff from the pantry is all over the kitchen counters so that they're just making room for the labeled pretty stuff, you know? Yeah. So that's one of those things to remind that I have to remind myself, like, that's not real life. Like this is a very niched aspect of someone's life. And maybe that's how they live, and maybe they're miserable, and maybe they're happy, or maybe they're completely indifferent to what's going on. But it's very hard to fight off that feeling of failure and like what you're doing isn't good enough because what someone else is doing is more. But maybe they have more support, maybe they have more help, maybe they have more financial resources. Like there's so many additions that you don't see in the background that contribute to that.
Yes. I made the conscious decision several years ago to not follow other photographers. For one thing, it affects my social media algorithms. I don't want to be seeing and liking other photographers' stuff constantly. I want to be seeing and liking like my clients' stuff. But I do not need to see anyone else's photos and see them and then judge myself or try to change my style. Or, I mean, I'm sure people are aware of photography trends because you're going to see them on social media. Like, over the last decade, we've had like the super bright trend where like even if there was grass in the photo, it would be like desaturated to the point that it looked like it was like white and like people's skin was super bright. And then like the next year it was like super dull and dark and underexposed and like the highlights were muted and the shadows were muted. And then recently it's this like deep, rich yellow color to all of these photos, maybe a little bit green, maybe a little bit red. And that's not how I shoot. And if I even try to like apply that in in Lightroom, It doesn't look good. It does not end up turning out well. So, I shoot my style is like reality. I try to get people's skin tones as like accurate as possible. And I think that is fine because that's going to translate well over the long term. Like 50 years from now, they'll be able to look at those photos and be like, that is what we looked like. We did not look like we were orange.
Sepia.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't need to see other photographers' stuff and try to change my work to match these trends. I can just have my style and let my style change. And I don't need to see other people. My photos are good. I do not need to see other photographers' photos and think, I'm not good at my job because it's not worth it. So I do not follow very many photographers. And it's funny because people ask me, do you know this photographer? I'm like, no, I do not.
No,
I don't need to know them. Well, not that I hate other photographers. I have photographers who are in my network who I work with, who I trust, who I would refer to, who are genuinely nice people. But I do not need to be aware of all of them and follow all of their stuff all the time. My goodness. With the business stuff, like I've told you about this. I don't know if I mentioned this in the first episode or what, but I had this client several years ago who is a home stager, fantastic home stager, great at her job. And she feels so much pressure about other home stagers in her area, which the other home stagers in her area just do not live up to the same quality. And they're not doing the same business that she does, but she still feels so much pressure because she sees what they're doing on what they're posting on social media. And it looks like what they're posting on social media is like elevating them to like a much higher level than she is, which is like not accurate. Okay. So she's on her phone before we're doing her photos. She's on her phone. She's talking about this interior designer or interior decorator who has a TV show on HGTV, and she's just so darn good at her job, and she's just so darn beautiful. And like, she just posted a photo of herself when she woke up in the morning. She didn't have any makeup on. She took this photo of herself, posted it to her social media. Okay. So she's telling me this. I'm like, can you show me this account? So she brings it up and shows it to me. And I had to be like, this is not real. She's wearing makeup. Not only is she wearing makeup, but she got up, she showered, she had her hair and her makeup professionally done. Photographers came in, they like staged her whole house. They put her back in bed and they took a photo, perfectly lit, hair and makeup done. And they did that all over her house. She spent a day having these photos taken, and now she has a folder full of photos, which she uses to post to social media. She's like, what? I'm like, that is a professional photo. Like, she did not take that with her phone.
No. People do not wake up like that. They just don't.
No.
They don't.
No.
I don't care who you are. They do not.
Oh, my goodness. No, they do not. Yeah, so that one drove me nuts. So I had to tell her that. And I told her, like, I hate to say it, but people don't care about, photos of the homes that you stage. Like, they want to know that you do a good job. But in the grand scheme of things, if they're following you on social media, they want to know who you are as a person.
Yep.
And the reason I was telling her this is because she hated photos of herself. She hated photos of herself. She didn't want to post them. She didn't know what to say. None of that stuff. And I had to, again, say, okay, people following your social media want to know who you are as a person, what you're interested in, whether you two have similar values, because they're going to want to work with someone with similar values to theirs. It's a luxury of business today. You can work with people who share the same values as you. And so we did these photos. She started posting them to her social media, and she's like, I cannot believe, like, my engagement has gone way up. I'm like, yeah, because you're posting photos of yourself. And guess what? People don't think that you're not photogenic. Like, she liked her photos, but like, she was so self-conscious. She's like, I don't look like these other people, like whatever. She started sharing these photos of herself. She's like, oh, shit. Okay. Yeah. Well, maybe I'm a little bit better than I thought I was. She also shared a photo of her and her cat, and obviously that photo just went bananas on social media because if you share a photo with a cat. So I have another story from working with people, and I think This one is a good example. So I was photographing this office of people, and there were staff members of like all different body types.
Okay.
So there were a few overweight folks, average looking folks, and like one or two people who would be your conventional beauties.
Okay.
Can you guess which of these staff people were unhappy with their photos? Like really unhappy with their photos.
Was it the overweight people?
No, it
or
was
the
not.
conventional beauties. Conventional beauties, right?
There was one woman in this group of people who would be considered like the most conventionally good looking person, like slim, fit, like hair in place, makeup all done. Beautiful woman. As I'm photographing her, she keeps turning her head to one side.
It's like the pressure that you like have to look perfect all the time, right? Yeah.
She obviously had in her head the good side of her face.
Good side.
Yep. And she kept turning her face that way. And I kept telling her not to. I kept telling her to bring her face back. So I send them a variety of photos. Some are with her face straight on, which is just what I want to do for personal branding photos, because it's you make a better connection with your face straight on than if you have your face turned. Like it's just body language, right?
Yeah.
So I sent her some photos with her face turned. So I get a message from the lead of this project. She's like, everyone is thrilled with their photos. Everyone, including the people who absolutely did not want to have their photo taken because they hated having their photo taken, got their photos back. They're like, oh, good. They're happy. Except for this one woman. And it's like there were complaints about the photos. So she's like, okay, can you come in and we'll like sit down and have a look. So we're talking about it. And she's like, she said that you took her photo from the wrong angle. I'm like, I did not. I took her photo with her face straight on and with her face turned in the direction that she kept turning it in. The only photos with her face turned are the way that she turned her head. So we're sitting there for a minute. I'm like, can you bring up her Facebook? So she brings up her Facebook. And every single photo in her Facebook was with her head turned. And not only turned, but appearing to be turned in the opposite direction from how she was turning it in the photos. So this is the mirror effect, or the selfie effect. Have you ever been describing someone to someone else and you're like, I'm just going to find a photo of them to show you because you'll know who they are if I find a photo. And then you're looking through their Facebook and you, for the life of you, cannot find a photo that actually looks like them. Like, you're like just looking through photo after photo after photo. This is because people are taking selfies. And okay, so the selfie is a mirror image. It's showing you what you see when you look in the mirror.
Right.
But what you see in the mirror is not what everyone else on the planet sees. Everyone else on the planet literally sees the opposite of what you see in the mirror because it's a reverse image. Does that make sense?
It does. Yes, I'm following.
This woman had been taking selfie after selfie after selfie after selfie, turning her head in the same direction over and over and over and over and over again, using that on social media. She believed that's what she looked like. Everyone else is looking at these photos going, that's not what she looks like. She looks, and it's a weird, it's such a weird thing. And I said, okay, I bet you if we take her photos from the shoot and we flip them, she'll be like, oh yeah, that looks like me. Okay, so try that sometime. If you're looking at a photo of yourself and you're like, this just it doesn't look right. That doesn't look like me. Try flipping it, reversing the image, and I bet all of a sudden you're gonna be like, oh yeah, that looks like me. And
there I am.
Yeah. I played with this a lot when I was in college, specifically with one of my friends who, by the way, was a professional model, like was signed and over in Milan and was doing fashion modeling. And the reason that I say this is because models are usually models because they are very symmetrical and we like things that are symmetrical. Even her, if I photographed her and I flipped the image, I was like, that doesn't look like her anymore. Not at all. A very symmetrical face, but if I flipped her photo, I was like, no, that doesn't look like her anymore. That's a completely different person. It's weird. It's so super weird. And it confuses the heck out of people.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt.
So next time you don't like photos of yourself, just flip them and see what happens.
Flip it. And be like, oh, there I am.
This is a danger of taking too many selfies. Do not take photo after photo after photo after photo of yourself at the same angle, from up above and from the side, because you're just going to get so disconnected from what you actually look like. And by the way, what everyone else sees and thinks looks great.
Yeah.
When was the last time you actually saw another human being and you thought, wow, they're ugly?
That's true.
Like, no one actually really thinks that.
Yeah. No, that's so true.
Unless you're a teenager, and then it's just a totally different issue.
Well, then just everybody is, right?
It's true. It's true. That's a very good point, including yourself. So I guess that's a good point.
Yeah.
I know you probably had more thoughts on this particular topic.
Yeah, social media, it's so interesting. And self-image, too. I mean, I think especially, like how you mentioned, like years ago growing up with what was in the media, like I've seen it everywhere on social media recently, like as like joke memes that like, if you grew up between 2000 and 2009, you may be entitled for emotional damage reparation. Like growing up, that like the extra low-rise jeans and girls that were like dangerously skinny and being glorified for this is the ideal body type. And it's, for me, I mean, over the past couple of years, my body has changed drastically multiple times between over having babies and then losing weight and then gaining weight and then losing weight and then gaining weight, and having to come to terms with my body will not look like how it looked when I was 16. And then the joke being that at 16, I didn't like how my body looked anyway. Yeah. So, I mean, it's such, as a woman, it's such a struggle to try and be comfortable within your body. And I think that's going to be at least an upside to certain parts of social media, that there are so many accounts out there that you can find the account that encourages the standards that you want, that you live by, and embraces the parts of your body that you think no one else has and are terrible. And then you see these accounts that are aiming for that realism and that encouragement, that it's okay to have the wobbly bits, and it's okay to have stretch marks, and it's okay to have cellulite. And this is like, when you see those pictures that don't have any of those, it's because they're posed at the perfect angle and it's airbrushed and there's a filter on there and there's this and there's that. And just kind of remembering, again, those are highlight reel accounts. That's not real life. And you can find that community that you want to encourage and support, which I think is the great part about social media, as long as you don't wind up going down the other rabbit hole.
It's interesting that you mentioned the stretch marks thing, because this has bothered me for such a long time. People trying to normalize stretch marks on social media by saying I had babies drives me nuts, because I have had stretch marks since I was like 14 everywhere.
Going through puberty. Yeah.
I have 0 kids, have been pregnant 0 times, and I have stretch marks. So it absolutely drove me bananas seeing people go, I have stretch marks and it's okay because I had babies.
Because I had kids. That's the only time it's okay to have stretch marks. Yeah.
It's, guess what? There are men with stretch marks.
Yeah.
It is okay to have stretch marks 100% of the time for whatever reason. Oh my goodness. Okay, this is one that makes me laugh. And maybe an overshare, but we're not going to care, because this is maybe the whole point of this podcast. So I play softball, and a lot of people that I play with have had babies, and they will run the bases and say, I peed myself a little bit. This is what happens because I had kids. Well, guess what?
Not just from having kids.
I am 35, and I periodically wee myself a little bit. When I'm running or laughing too hard, or if I cough.
It's a good one. Yep. An unexpected sneeze.
Absolutely. I was just thinking about the sneezes. Yeah, for sure. That's just what happens. So if something happens to you, or you look a certain way or whatever, it's normal. Unless it's like concerning and you think you should go see your doctor about it. But then,
see your
I mean,
doctor. Yeah.
make an appointment with your doctor. But other than that, like the number of ads I'm hearing on podcasts for supplements that help you grow more hair. I actually love this because, I mean, I assume that these supplements are basically like fruit and vegetable capsules.
Yeah. A little dash of collagen. That's probably about it.
Yeah. Rather than like, you know, putting in hair extensions, take some supplements that are good for your body. That's cool. That's excellent. And also, I love the number of people who are saying online that they are losing their hair, and people who are like, okay, I listen to a lot of Real Housewives shows, podcasts, and it's like their shows where they're like, yeah, my hair is thinning. Like it was a little bit scary how much was coming out all at once. And so I'm taking this supplement, and maybe they're lying, but I think some of them are telling the truth. So who knows?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. What else would you like to share on this topic? It's an interesting one because it's so frustrating. And like, you just want to say to like every human being on the planet, like, relax, get a little bit of a tougher skin.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's just stuff on social media that's going to piss you off. But like, body image is just a thing that you're going to deal with forever, because we're talking about body image. And oh my God, I am so unhappy with my body right now for several reasons. Like, my clothes do not fit the way that I want them to. And I feel weak as heck. Like when I go to like play ball or something, I feel so tired and sore and like I'm slow. And so this is not like, you know, I am an expert thing. Again, I am actively trying to figure this stuff out. And whenever I have done well with getting in better shape at any point in time in my life, which has happened a couple of times, it's usually when I get a grasp on my self-image, where I'm like, I'm going to choose to be like, okay with my body. There's nothing wrong with it. I still have moments of that these days where like, I'll look in the mirror, I'm like, oh, for God's sake, I look fine. Like, get over it.
Like, what is your problem?
No one cares. My goodness.
It's so true though. Like I have those moments probably like multiple times a day, and I flip flop between like, oh my God, Nikki, like, what are you doing? Go do something, go be active. And then I have other moments where I'm like, you know what, like, buy bigger shorts. Like,
oh my goodness.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Buy clothes that fit you better, and then you will feel better because you will look better and you will like the way that you look. And like, like I said, like, I will never look the way that I looked when I was 16, and I still didn't like the way I looked when I was 16 anyway. Yeah. And I am so guilty of like comparing myself following my last pregnancy to comparing myself following my first pregnancy. And well, I got the weight off a lot quicker. Well, I had a kid that slept for 4 hours in the middle of the day, and now they don't sleep at all. So I had time, and I was on mat leave, and I wasn't trying to juggle a million and one things. And right after I had my second baby, I basically blew up my Achilles tendon. So exercise is not ideal. And then 2 months ago, I sprained my good foot. So that's not ideal. So I'm like a hobbler these days. So it's an adjustment to what I can do and what's reasonable and what's just going to make everything worse, and try to find that in between of like, just because I don't necessarily look and feel the way that I ideally would look and feel doesn't mean that I have to hate myself. Doesn't mean that I have to be unhappy. I can, you know, make these adjustments and do what I can do and kind of hope for the best from there. But 100%, I'm going to, I think women particularly, and not to exclude men from that, but I think women have this media focused and social media focused idea of what is okay and what isn't okay to have on how to look and how to feel and how to react. And it's just not realistic a lot of the time. The one thing that I'm like proud of myself for is my hair started going gray very, very early. Like, I'm talking like in university, I'm like 19 and I've got white hairs, and always dyed it. And then after I had my second daughter, I was like, I don't care anymore. I cannot keep up with it. I have a full on widow's peak coming in. It's almost like a full one of my curls. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm 31. I've got 2 kids. I work for myself. I think I'm allowed to have some white hairs if I want to have some white hairs and not have to be concerned about it all the time. So that's like the one thing that I've like came to terms with super, super quick. I was like, I kind of like it. I don't care. Suck it, society. But that's my happy moment, I guess, there.
That is one of those things that, I mean, kudos to the beauty industry. They came out with that. I cannot pronounce it. Balayage.
Yeah.
Where women were dyeing their hair gray and it looked fabulous, but it was dyed. And people spend a lot of money for that these days.
Yeah. They do. Lots of.
I am getting full-blown white hairs, just white. So basically, my head is going to go completely white at some point, which is going to be an interesting change because I have been a redhead for my entire life. And while it is changing colors, it'll be, something new. I've never dyed my hair, so it'll be different.
It's interesting.
I might start dyeing my hair like bright red or something.
There you go.
Point. Who knows?
That'd be cool.
Have a little bit of fun with it.
My sister's also like a honey blonde, and she, as hers comes in, she calls it her Arctic blonde. So it's not white, it's Arctic blonde.
That's cool. I like that.
I love that.
That's awesome. Oh my goodness. In terms of like diet and exercise, I hope that people can make diet and exercise more about how you feel physically, being like, do you feel bloated? Do you feel tired? Yeah. Do you feel weak? Then it might be a good idea to, okay, I'm going to like add more vegetables or more protein into my diet. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to
make some adjustments.
Get up from my desk every hour and do 5 push-ups. Like, you can do a minimal amount of effort for a pretty good payoff. But I mean, make it more about
for sure
your health and feeling healthier than about how much space your body takes up, because that's just a ridiculous thing to like base your self-worth on.
Yeah. No,
also, the world has gone through so many changes in that regard. Like at some points in human history, it's been preferable that someone have some fat on their body. And also, like with women, here's some interesting information. Women who starve themselves, have like no body fat, work out all the time, and are very strict with their diets, tend to have lots of hormonal issues or tend to start developing hormonal issues because the fat on your body is what regulates your hormone production. So when you remove all of it, well, then your body can't regulate your hormones, and that causes all sorts of problems. We are not meant to be 0% body fat. We're meant to be normal, but you want to feel strong and like you can move your body around. So move around, do all sorts of different stuff, but you don't need to go running for an hour every day to be healthy. I hate to say it.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I have some tips for what to do with your social media. I don't know if you would like to add to this, but I want to start with number 1. Stop following accounts that make you feel like shit.
Yeah, that's a great one.
If it's your family and friends, then like mute them so you don't have to see their stuff. Like I said, I intentionally don't follow photographers because I don't want to see that stuff, but like unfollow stuff where if you're looking at it, you're like, ugh, about yourself. Like the minute you see a post that makes you go, like unfollow that account. Or if it's an ad, hide it, which is number 2. So hide ads that are irrelevant. So like all of these coaching offers that I see that I apparently need to purchase because they would change the way I live my life entirely. You hit the hide ad or whatever it is, that it'll come up as come up with options why this ad, doesn't work for you. You could put in like it's offensive, it's I don't even know, spam. I put in it's irrelevant, and I never get those ads again. And I do that with any fitness ads as well. Because I'm interested in fitness, but I don't want to see all of the fitness ads in my Instagram feed.
All the
like
time.
I would rather see sponsored posts by the dodo of like all sorts of happy dog stories, you know?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah, use that irrelevant option and just be meticulous about it and start removing those things because that helps. Just get off of social media. You don't have to delete your account, but try to only, like, I try to only go on social media to schedule stuff. So to post things, like I know you're supposed to go on and like other people's stuff, which I do. But otherwise I try to stay off of it. And I, from time to time, delete Facebook and Instagram and everything from my phone entirely because that seems to help.
The temptation.
Do you have, do you have any? I have two more, but they're unrelated to social media. Do you have suggestions?
I definitely agree with the getting off of social media, even just to take a break. Like I'll have days where I'm like, I'm not going on, period. Not a thing. I have family like kind of all over the place. We're a little bit spread out. So it's a lot of how we like connect and stay in touch and stuff. But I don't need to be on there all day long for hours at a time. Cause you get like, for me, I get sucked into like the reels and I'm just like one after another, after another. So taking a break, huge. The other one I was going to say was kind of like links back to our last episode on being mindful, like have those self check-ins. Like, okay, I don't feel great today. Why don't I feel great? Is it because I ate something I'm not supposed to be eating? Like I have an intolerance, or I just ate too much of something. Like I do not generally, as a rule, believe in diets. I've been through all the fad diets and they don't work. 'Cause the minute you stop, everything comes back. So I try to eat like a clean diet, I try to eat clean, and for me it's moderation. Okay, I really want some chocolate, so I will have some chocolate in with my oats or something, like some cocoa, or I will have like whatever, some Nutella on my toast. Like it's a moderation thing for me. I won't eat that every day all day long, but I will not deny myself that item because then I'm just miserable and now I don't get it. So it doesn't,
Nutella is delicious.
For me it's just Nutella is delicious. I am a sucker for Nutella. Like that is my jam.
It's so good.
So
I
good.
can eat it with a spoon. I can get a container of that
literally
and eat it with a spoon
and eat the whole thing. Yeah.
I can.
Without a doubt, I'm there too. So for me, it's like that mindfulness and that check-in and like, this is something I learned while I was pregnant. And it was that if your body's craving something, it's generally because your body needs it, right? Like if you're craving candy bars, it's because your body needs a little bit of sugar. So have some fruit or whatever, like make the better option, have the healthier option. And so I try to hold on to that each day. Like I don't overdo it, but like checking in on myself. If I feel sluggish and slow and sore, okay, we'll pack up the kids, go for a walk, and then stretch it out when we get home, or once I go to bed, do a little bit of yoga or go and do a little workout or whatever that I have time and like the capability to fit in. But trying to be in tune with myself so that I don't end up just miserable and unhappy and down that spiral rabbit hole of like everything sucks and social media makes it worse and now I hate myself on top of everybody else. So.
Yep. Oh, follow the dodo because it's amazing. If you don't follow the dodo, follow the dodo. It's all about like dog and animal rescue stories.
Awesome.
So it's good.
Perfect.
All right. Okay. What else do I have here? Oh, okay. This is maybe a little bit self-serving, but I'm going to say it anyway. Get some photos done. Just yourself and just because. Work with a good photographer, obviously. And a lot of women will assume that when they're doing photos of just themselves for their own self-esteem, that it's going to be boudoir photos. And I, for example, do boudoir photos. But for me, boudoir photos could be like I've photographed women in like their yoga outfit or in like their favorite baseball team's jersey or whatever. And also I've worked with women who For example, this one client of mine was in a car accident years ago. It affected her mobility. She gained quite a bit of weight. She had a lot of difficulty getting around, and she wanted to do boudoir photos. And she just has one of those personalities where she just like goes for shit. And I'm like, good for you, because I wouldn't do it now. So yeah, I'm impressed. Well, I like to ask my clients when I'm doing something like boudoir, what part of their body they are happy with, and then we'll highlight that. So this particular client said that she loved her hair. So basically her entire shoot was based around her hair. So sort of headshot style, but she'd have like her bangs in front of her eyes, and it was like all sexy and romantic lighting, and there'd be like a little bit of cleavage in the background, and she was flippin' thrilled when she got her photos. Good. She was getting them for her husband, but she's like, oh my God, he is going to love these. Like, it was super fun. And I've worked with clients who are like, my favorite feature is my smile. And we do a bunch of photos where they're just smiling, and like, they're like beauty style photos. They're not in lingerie at all. It's just like, just, you could be fully clothed and out in the forest. Like, just do some photos with a professional that you feel comfortable with, that you have fun with, that you trust. And one tip that I will give you, especially for people who do not like photos of themselves, you'll get your photos back. You'll get a bunch of photos. There will be some photos that you like, and there will be some photos that you do not like. Okay. Set all of them to the side for a short period of time, like even a couple months. Go back and look at all of them again. And I guarantee when you go back and look at them the second time around, you're going to be like, that photo that I hated before, all of a sudden I love it. I have done this with brides who I'm like, okay, who have told me straight up that they are self-conscious. They don't like photos of themselves. And you can see it when we're taking photos. And I've said, give it a little bit of time, wait. And then go back and look at your photos, and there will be more photos that you like. I did this a couple of years ago with one bride in particular, and she waited all of like 1 week, maybe a couple of days, went back and looked at the photos again. She's like, you were right. I didn't like some of them, and now I love them. I'm like, yeah, it's weird. It's the weirdest thing. You just have to catch yourself in the right mood. The only reason I know this is because I spent a couple of years having a ton of photos done of myself, and there were photos that I didn't like, and then I would go back and look at them later and be like, wait a minute, actually, I look good in that photo. It's so strange. I don't really know what's going on there, but maybe you're just catching yourself in a better mood. But just doing it for yourself just because, like, this is for you. Why would you not do it? Like, invest in yourself. You having positive self-esteem is a great thing. So just flip and do it.
Go with it.
And then
that's awesome.
Focus on your inner strength. And I'm going to say refer to episode 2 because we talked about that in the last episode. Yeah, the meditation and addressing your feelings and all that fun stuff. Like, work with a therapist. I don't know about you, but I talk to a therapist. And I do not always have stuff to really talk to her about. We meet over Zoom, and well, it's not Zoom, but whatever. I'll log in. She's be like, so what's up today? I'm like, I don't know.
Stuff.
I've just been feeling stressy. I thought it was a good time to book an appointment. All that fun stuff. Awesome. Those are my tips.
Fantastic.
Do you have any others?
I don't think I have any additional ones.
Okay.
Yeah. Checking in, reminding yourself that social media is not real. That's like the biggest thing for me. Because like, I feel like social media is everywhere. Like, it's like so pushed into your face, and it's just that's not real life. Go outside.
It is not real. I like that.
Yeah.
We should make that a hashtag. It's not real.
Yeah, it's not real. Conspiracy theorists.
just get off of social media. Don't spend so much time looking at stuff on there.
Yeah.
Unless they're cat videos.
Then take
go do
time.
something. Yeah.
Something that makes you happy.
Yes. Something that makes you ridiculously happy.
Ridiculously happy.
So I have 2 resources that I want you guys to check out. They are in my Etsy shop. They are my mood journal and my day planner. So the mood journal helps you keep track of what your mood is like at any given time of the day and what is triggering that mood. Could be very useful for the episode that we had just released previous to this one. And then the day planner includes, and this is what I use every day, my morning routine to write down 3 things I'm grateful for. And then at the end of the day to not just like close out my planner and put it away, but to write down things that were successes for that day. And I often write in that section that I survived the day. So, I mean, it's a perfectly fair success.
I love it.
All right, Nikki, what is your ridiculously happy moment?
My ridiculously happy moment is that I checked off my personal to-do list. I am 100% the person that keeps a running to-do list for literally everything. I have like my work to-do list, my client's to-do list, and then my own to-do list. There's so many things going on in my life on any given day that if I do not write it down and if I'm not able to physically see it every single day, it just like dipsy-doos into thin air. So we have a little command center in our kitchen with our whiteboard and our bulletin board and our like mail slots and our family calendar so we can keep track of what the yos are doing. And some days my to-do list is like just super small and boring, and it's like fold the laundry, take out the garbages, prep dinner, feed the kids. And other days it's like paint the banister, steam clean the carpets, and weed out the garden, and all the awesome big project stuff. So this week is like a little bit of both. Like I wanted to wrap up on our bathroom and catch up on laundry and change beddings and all that awesome boring stuff. And generally what I try to do is chip away each day. So even if I'm only doing one thing a day, I'm getting something done, and then it makes me feel more productive outside of work too, which is always helpful. And this morning I drew the line through the final item. So it was a nice little like kitchen dance with my coffee. And it's nice to like kind of be heading into the weekend with a clean slate. And I'm sure that will change by the end of tomorrow. But for right now, everything's done and it's not hanging over my head. So that is my ridiculously happy moment today.
Is it too much to ask to know what the final item on your list was?
The final item was, what did I do this morning? I think I literally like wiped down the kitchen counters. It was like finished cleaning the kitchen because I was cleaning it in stages. And then I got to like look around and be like, oh, this is so nice. Look how grown up I am with my clean kitchen. So that was awesome.
You should post it on social media.
Yeah, right away. Kids, you can't come in here.
My reality for 5 minutes.
5 minutes until I have to make meals again. And then it's a mess.
Oh my goodness. Absolutely. Okay. So, by the way, I love that you call it your command center. That made me laugh out loud just now. It's awesome.
Good. That's really what it is. It's how I run our life.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. So my ridiculously happy moment. So the kids are here, as I have mentioned, and so I am booted out of my office, which is pretty good because I have been doing meetings from outside. So I've been sitting on the veranda and I have my little tripod and my phone, and yeah, I've been doing all sorts of meetings like that.
That's awesome.
And so I live in the country and I've had the same neighbors since I was 4, this family. And it's kind of funny how, like, we're not like super close, but it's kind of funny how lives become intertwined. I remember because I remember the sons like 4-wheeling around the house, like around our house in the summer, just zipping around. And and so the one son, I now work with his wife, so she will second shoot with me on weddings. Her name is Natalie. She is fantastic. And the other son lives like behind us, so we can see their house, and it's lots of fun because like we check in on each other. Like that time that I had to call the fire department, and he texted me like, "Is everything okay over there?" Because there was like lights and everything from there. You could see the house and the lights. But anyway, so I'm driving home the other night and I pass by his son. So 3rd generation, his son, driving back to their house on the lawnmower. He's 12 years old and he cuts our grass. So he was driving back from from our house on the lawnmower. And then I drive into the driveway, and there is his grandpa cutting the hay at our place. And I just thought it was the cutest thing ever that, like, grandpa was cutting the hay and grandson was cutting the grass on the same property at the same time. And I just thought it was so cute.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun. All right, Nikki, tell us where we can find you on the internets.
On the internet, so you can find me on Instagram and Facebook. I was gonna say Instagram and social media. I'm like, that's the same. Instagram and Facebook at The Ava Solution, and online at theavasolution.com. Nice and easy.
Excellent. Very consistent.
Yes.
I am Sophia Lemon, and I photograph ridiculously happy people. And you can find me on Instagram at ridiculously happy people, on Facebook, and on Pinterest, and at sophialemon.com. And thank you so much for making time for this episode today. We hope that you feel inspired to live a little more kindly, a little more confidently, and a little bit more ridiculously happy. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review in your podcast app of choice. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us spread this ridiculously happy movement. We also invite you to join our Facebook community at Ridiculously Happy People, and to leave us a voice note. Check the show notes for the link to do that. It might be featured in a future episode. Let us know what your ridiculously happy moment is. And also remember that happiness is contagious. So who do you know who could use a bigger smile today? Share this podcast with them and bring a little bit of extra sunshine to their day. And again, be sure to connect with us on social media. And thanks for listening. And we will see you next time.